The following program contains explicit American history. If you suffer from stupidity, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your revisionist historian.
Proclaiming the truth in the highways and byways of the world. Fighting for justice in the dark alleys of politics. Raising the voice of resistance to a fevered pitch. And he knows where to find the best and worst jail food in America. Randall Terry.
Caught you looking again, Yeah, incorrigible. I don't even know what that word means. But I will not be beaten and I will not be controlled. Yes! I love you. That's a sign. I hit that thing for the first time. It's a sign that today is going to be a great show. And I've had a lot of second thoughts about doing today's show because it's going to be very, very emotional. I'm starting to lose it already. All right. The Russian president has said that Iran is about to have nuclear weapons. Prime Minister Netanyahu from Israel says Iran is irrational and should not be allowed to get these weapons. And I'm going to use today's program, here I go again, to apologize for my behavior, my words that have brought so much embarrassment to so many in the pro-life movement. So let's just go for it. All right, look, today's program brought to you in part by mediocre leaders. Because when apathy reigns, the mediocre rise as heroes, and heroes stand condemned as fanatics. And by lukewarm leaders who are currently seeking the Congressional Medal of Mediocrity. I'll be right back with this compelling, emotional display after a quick word from my friend Sir Reginald Leg. Reggie, save me. Come on, man. just turn it on. I got something to say. So Reginald Leg, he observes things. How is it that the Republican senators of the United States of America can run their mouth and flap their jaw and tell all kind of stories about how they're going to filibuster Kagan, but then when it comes time to fight, they run away like a frightened schoolgirl from a playground. And now there are other people who say, oh no, we shouldn't ask them to filibuster because we all look bad. Hey, whoa. First of all, there's not many people that can make this look good. Second of all, if you're going to look bad, you might as well look bad for something good. Because that's what it's all about in the end, baby. It ain't about you looking like this. It ain't even about you sounding like this. It's about what you did that was right in the eyes of your maker. Thank you, Reggie, for helping me. This is going to be a really tough apology that I've got to give. I've got one quick item in the news first, and then my apology. Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has said, yes, Iran is on the verge of possessing nuclear weapons. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran must not be allowed to possess these weapons because they are, quote, irrational. Irrational? Like a postpartum woman? Capable of anything? Huh? Yes, just like that. On a serious note, who are the major funders and trainers of Hamas and Hezbollah? Iran. Well, they're training men and women all the time on how to kill civilians with bombs. What if the head of Iran, an Ayatollah or a president, was prepared to use a bigger bomb to kill civilians? And that, my friend, is the crux of the issue. I will spend more time on this in the days and weeks to come, but Persia has a long, proud history of being willing to kill civilians for the sake of the spread of Islam. And you have to go back literally 1,400 years to the beginning and start to see what I'm talking about. But they know their history, and they are proud of their history, and they would like to see the caliphate restored in the world. We'll talk more about this, but I have to use today's program for an apology. Many of you know that I have been calling for a filibuster against Kagan. I have been holding McConnell's and Kyle's and Sessions and Graham's feet to the fire, these various senators, because they say, oh, maybe we'll filibuster, maybe we won't. And over the weekend, I started to really search my soul and I felt that I owed everyone an apology for my behavior concerning Kagan. So I'm offering an open apology to leaders and to those who fancy themselves leaders in the pro-life movement. I spent the better part of an hour reading press releases and searching the web for a call from pro-life groups and leaders to U.S. senators to filibuster Kagan. And several senators continued to suggest that they might try to filibuster her. It's still on the table. So I thought, okay, there's got to be a connection between that and pro-life groups, who are pledged to defend unborn babies, conceivably at least, and that they, because they want to see an end to child killing in America, that they would be joining those senators saying, yes, we've got to have a filibuster. Now, we all know that Roe versus Wade is a Supreme Court decision that thrust child killing on the entire nation. It did not come through the legislative process. It came through the courts. And if Kagan takes a seat on the court, it's going to result in child killing be extended for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. So I thought, okay, pro-life leaders and organizations are going to be demanding that Republicans filibuster Kagan to try and keep her off the court. Makes sense, right? Well, guess how many groups have decided to call for a filibuster of Kagan? Are you ready? 0. None. Nada. Zippo. No one. I was shocked. Now, this knowledge comes from a Google News search, from a Google web search, a blog search, and from looking at press releases sent out by the Christian Newswire, which is the nation's largest pro-life religious news feed for sending out press releases in the whole country. So I looked and found nothing. Now, thankfully, Dr. Charmaine Yost of Americans United for Life urged senators to vote against Kagan, but even she did not ask the senators to filibuster Kagan. Now, Floyd Brown with Newsmax, which is not a pro-life group, they've been calling for a filibuster, as has Eugene Delgado, who's a prince of a man. But those groups are political in the bigger sense, not strictly pro-life. So here I am, pondering the fact that the major, the medium, and the minor pro-life groups that literally litter the horizon here in Washington, D.C., not to mention New York and Chicago and Dallas and Los Angeles, that they're not fighting in the single biggest battle for babies' lives that is happening right now. The battle over whether or not Elena Kagan takes the court. They're just not calling for a filibuster. They're not out there protesting, sending out press releases, throwing punches. So I searched my heart. And I decided that I must be wrong. Yes, I must be wrong for calling on Republicans to fight and to brawl and to filibuster Kagan. And so, I apologize. I apologize for being out of step with all these groups and these people. I apologize for wanting to fight to filibuster Kagan, even though our chances of victory are not that good. I apologize for putting principle ahead of politics. I apologize for holding Republican senators who say they're pro-life. I apologize for holding them accountable to their own words, their own campaign speeches, and talk show host blatherings. I apologize for holding them accountable. I apologize for putting the lives of babies ahead of pro-life unity. I apologize for showing the watching world just how anemic and castrated most of the pro-life movement is right now. I apologize for revealing that we are a paper tiger in the political arena. We have no teeth. But the more I apologize, the more I realize that this was part of a bigger pattern of my behavior, for which I must also apologize to pro-life leaders. So when we come back from this break, we're going to have a great song that fits perfectly with this. It's called Let's All Be Equal. And I am going to apologize for a pattern of behavior that I've displayed over years. And I hope that you'll forgive me. I'll be right back.
Randall and I made a trip to Europe some years ago to visit Henry VIII. He told Henry that Anne Boleyn had a thing for him. The rest is history.
moments with Moses. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field.
Welcome back to the program, friend. Sometimes tongue-in-cheek is good. That which is ridiculous deserves to be ridiculed. And so now, because of a very big and long pattern in my life where I have caused problems for so many people, I want to apologize to pro-life leaders and the heads of pro-life organizations. I apologize to you for not running for the hills every time a key battle happens. Please, give me the address of the caves where you hide. Caves? What can we do about coffee? I heard that Starbucks delivers. I apologize for fighting desperately against Obama at Notre Dame, for spending almost 2 months on the ground in South Bend with my family and staff, for leading events there that reached literally millions of people in the press, resulted in scores of arrests, disrupted Obama's speech, and tarred him with the blood of babies. I'm sorry for that. I apologize for fighting tooth and nail against health care, holding press conferences and protests, getting arrested with others for sit-ins or disrupting Nancy Pelosi. I apologize for disrupting Howard Dean's health care town hall meeting here in D.C., and forcing child killing to the forefront in that meeting and all the news coverage that followed it. I apologize for fighting against Sonia Sotomayor and urging people to disrupt her hearings. I apologize that I call on people to use concrete, courageous actions that bring child killing front and center in the media and with the body politic. In fact, I apologize for calling child killing. And I promise to try and call child killing abortion, because the word abortion is less offensive. It doesn't hurt people so much. And I apologize for calling George Tiller a mass murderer who reaped what he sowed. I'm sorry that I repeatedly show the mangled remains of butchered babies on TV and in news conferences and in posters. I'm sorry that I use rhetoric and words that are so intense and gripping. I'm going to try and use words that numb people and make them feel good and lead them to believe that we're winning even when we know that we're losing. I apologize to taking men and women to Rome twice to meet with Vatican officials, to beg them to deal with the treachery and cowardice of Catholic bishops in America concerning child killing and the Holy Eucharist. I apologize for creating extensive strains in the Roman hierarchy and with certain Catholic faithful people because of this debate, both in the media and in our churches. I'm sorry. This one kills me. I'm sorry that we're not a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, which means that we can talk about politics and elections, and we can lobby people and really get involved, and we're not afraid of Big Brother. I promise to put the shackles on soon of a 501c3 tax-exempt organization. I promise. And I apologize that we don't just send out fundraising letters and tell people things that they already know about abortion and then ask them to send us money. I'm sorry that I actually believe abortion is murder, it's child killing, and that the rhetoric and the actions and the images and the sacrifices and the goals of the pro-life movement should reflect that horrific reality. In short, I apologize to pro-life leaders, bloggers with their typing fingers on the pulse of the pro-life movement, pontificators, email blasters, who have neither scars on their back and nor bars on their shoulder from war. I apologize for taking the slaughter of babies in such deadly earnest, with such alarm, and with so much dread. So when we come back from this break, I've got some promises that I'm going to make to you. Stay with me. I promise I'll be better. I promise. Give me another chance.
Man is called a reactionary if he objects to having his property stolen and his wife and children murdered. Sir Winston Churchill.
I thank you for joining me today and letting me apologize publicly. And like any good apology, there needs to be some penance, a resolve to not do evil anymore and to avoid the near occasion of political sin. And so, I have some promises that I want to make to pro-life leaders and to pro-life activists who have been in any way embarrassed or shamed by the things that I and my associates have said and done. I promise to tone down my speech, to stop showing pictures of abortions, to stop doing radical things that make us all look bad. I promise to stop calling on people, especially you, the pro-life leaders, to sacrifice your reputation and to take up your crosses and to fight with concrete actions in battles such as this with Elena Kagan. I promise to settle for the status quo, to tell people we are winning, and to raise extensive sums of money so that we can talk more about abortion, raise even more money, and tell people we are winning even while we're losing the battle against Kagan. And to tell our supporters that all they need to do is send us more money so that we can fight this battle for them like they're hired guns. I promise to tell people that we can win against abortion by just talking about it, giving money to pro-life groups, participating in virtual marches and cyber protests, by marching once a year, by selling a rose or displaying 1,000,000 pennies at the White House with specially trained security guards, by sending the White House empty red envelopes and voided checks, and by financing, endorsing, and celebrating the candidacies and victories of men like pro-abortion Senator Scott Brown of Massachusetts. In short, I promise to pro-life leaders that I will try to fit in, quiet down, and pretend that our current efforts and the efforts of our bishops and our clergy regarding abortion are heroic. I promise to state that what we do, cyber marches, red envelope campaigns, and requiring participants at abortion mill prayer vigils to not show pictures of dead babies, etc. I promise to tell everyone that all we are doing right now is all that we can do, and that it's all that Christ expects of us, and that it is all we need to do to gain victory over abortion. When we come back from this break, I promise you a song where I will celebrate all of our equality and our mediocrity.
How long, O Lord, wilt thou look on? Rescue me from their ravages, my life from the lions. Amen.
Hi, friend, I'm Randall Terry. Thomas Jefferson said, "All tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience to remain silent." What a fitting quote for me to introduce my new mantra about all of us being equal and mediocre. Enjoy the song for the rest of the show. I'll see you tomorrow.
Let's all be equal, mediocre at best. Nobody's a loser, we all pass the test. When it's time to make the grade, there'll be no bright shining stars, 'cause we're all equal. Dim bulbs. Let's all be equal, not too poor, not too rich. No one living in a skyscraper, nobody digging a ditch. You don't need nothing for no rainy day. What God gives, Obama takes away. So we're equal, we're all broke. Let's all be equal, poor, sick, and dead. Check your brains at the door, boy. Here's some rocks for your head. Don't need no Nobel Prize, no Super Bowl ring, no Oscar guy, and no Grammy. thing. 'Cause we're all equal. What did he just say? Don't need no Nobel Prize, no Super Bowl ring, no Oscar guy, and no Academy thing, and no Grammy thing. 'Cause we're equal. All mediocre.